John's got one for us here, Jordan.
I was just starring it, so that was perfect.
BYOB or sell. With the newly added size, Cade will have north of 300 yards this year. He was under 200 last year.
Yeah, I'm gonna say BYOG. How many yeah, how many did DJ have in 2022?
I'd have to go back and look.
This wasn't Garrett Riley's offense, but I think he had like 400, 500 yards. I think K can get there. I think if the offensive line is improved, I mean a lot of Cade's production was hurt by sack yardage. I mean Clemson wasn't an overly high sack total team, but they gave up enough, and he, especially and the sacks that he did allow were very, very costly at times, and they were, sometimes it was him running backwards and trying to make a play, and then he gets chased down.
He was doing that high school stuff.
Yeah, so I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the sack yardage I bet was pretty high, even though the sack total wasn't super high. It was about middle of the road.
Tickle Tiger mentioned something that you mentioned to me before we hopped on the show.
Yeah,
70-yard run on an RPO in Jervy.
Yeah, I did see that, Tickle Tiger. Yeah, that's what you want to hear, and it makes you makes you realize, like, well, when Cade was able to run, especially north to south, he's not laterally. It's kind of hit or miss, but when he's able to get to north to south, and he can, he doesn't have to turn his head anywhere. He can just look straight ahead and run. Cade is pretty fast. I mean, you saw him. You saw his speed at some unfortunate times, like the sack fumble and stuff like that, where he showed off his speed, or the pick six he threw against Charleston Southern.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate time to show it off.
Yeah, now you've taken me down bad memory lane. But
yeah.
But Cade can run. I mean, Garrett Riley wants the quarterback run game to be a big factor in this offense, because it does open things up. And we saw with DJ, even though it was a different style, he was a different style of runner. When DJ was running the ball well, the rest of the offense was very open. You saw it against, whether it was the Wake Forest game or the NC State game or the Miami game, where DJ had like almost 100 yards rushing.
Yeah.
That was when the offense was, and this is a completely different scheme. It's a different system, but it's the same idea. When the defense has to, account for the quarterback run game, it opens so many things up, and it forces, the defensive ends and the linebackers to kind of, they can't over pursue or they can't commit to one thing, because they know that in the back of their head, man, he could pull it, or he could get out to the edge, and we're all of a sudden we've given up a 15-yard gain because we committed to the run, or we over pursued. So like it's an important part, and you can do so much off of that, because you can pass out of that too. So there's a lot of benefits to being able to run the quarterback, and Cade making the physical transformation and being bulkier to be able to withstand those hits, because he'll have to take some if we're going to run him. That's what you want. So that was my long-winded answer to that. BYOG, I think he can get to 300 yards rushing, and I think if he does, I think that's good enough. I don't think he needs to get much more than that. And I don't think we need to run him heavy, but if he can get to 300 yards and we can tone down the catastrophic sacks, he can get there. Todd asks, how do you all feel about Cade this year? Well, I think we've talked about that. I mean, we feel, really, really, optimistic about, his ability to take that next step in year two. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to think he'll be a better quarterback than last year. How much better is the question, and that'll determine whether this team is 8-9 win team or a 10-11 plus win team in a playoff caliber ACC championship team.
I think I think the big thing is he's got a wide receiver room around him now that is going to help him.
Yeah.
And then
this is the best group of weapons any Clemson quarterback has had since 2019. So
right.
I think
he's got the weapons. We'll see how much improved the offensive line is. We obviously know what he's got at running back. I think the pieces are there for him to take that next step. But that next step again that's on him. We've heard the leadership, we've heard the intangible stuff. We've seen the transformation in his body. He's put on some weight. He's got a little bit thicker. Being a vocal leader, all of that stuff. But again, all that has to translate to the field. So cautiously optimistic.
Cautiously optimistic because
hoping he takes that next step.
Yeah, and I think we have a good reason to, like I said, I think we have, you mentioned it, we have a good reason to think he'll be better. And so, we had good reason to think DJ was going to be better from 2021 to 2022, and he was, especially for the first half of that season. DJ was kind of on the fringe of Heisman talks. He was playing really well. So, you hope that we can get more than that this year, but I think that kind of play for an entire season gets you to 10 wins, ACC championship.
Yeah, I don't think Cade's got to go out there and win any Heisman trophies.
Right.
He doesn't have to have a Joe Burrow like season or a Trevor Lawrence like season, or we don't need him to do that.
Yeah,
we need him to play within the offense, make the proper reads, get rid of the ball when necessary, and take off and use his feet and that's athleticism when the play breaks down. That's it. Just play within the system. He doesn't have to go out there and play hero ball. We don't need him to be Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson.
Right. So, that's not what this offense demands either. No. It's like you should be able to, if Cade can be Max Duggan,
right?
Like I think you're set. I mean, you might say, and I think even giving Max Duggan level play gives you a shot against Georgia, which is kind of ironic to say considering what happened to TCU in that national championship game. But if you can get that level of play, the Max Duggan level of play that he had throughout that regular season, I think you're at worst. I mean, you're in Charlotte.
Yeah, Ronald Burkus makes a good point. He needs a Kelly Bryant type season. Yeah,
I think you need more passing. I think Kelly didn't have as many passing touchdowns as he would. He didn't even have as many passing touchdowns as Cade did last year. But the steady play.
From a steady, just you knew what you were going to get when he rolled out.
Make the plays that are there. Don't turn the ball over a ton.
Obviously, Cade's a far better passer than Kelly Bryant.
Right.
I don't mean that in any way. I'm not saying that at all, but just that steady presence out on the field. That's what Cade needs to be this season.
Right. I'm with you.
Don't do anything crazy. Just go be that steady presence. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Really do appreciate it, man. Supporting the show. Thank you so much. If Cade performs well this season, do you think he will return?
Well, I guess it depends on your definition of well. I tend to think so. Because I feel like even if he has a strong year this year, I think scouts would probably want to see another year from him. Mm-hmm. They would probably feel. I don't know if a ton of GMs right now, even if he has a strong season, would be willing to bet on, his one really really good season. But we would never say never. But I get that feeling that Cade is going to be a 4-year guy just because his development has not been, he came in right away and ready to go. Like he obviously needed developing to do from a mental and physical standpoint. So I'd be surprised if he had a strong enough year that he was in. I think it would take him getting first round consideration.
Yeah, I think, even if I'd be surprised, even if he has a strong year and Cade, completely turns it around and he becomes that 5-star that, everybody thought he was going to be coming out of Westlake, right? I'd be surprised if Cade doesn't come back next year. I would really be shocked. That would surprise me quite a bit.
And selfishly, I hope he comes back for a 4th year because we've talked about. I mean,
Of course.
we're talking about how, you know, what the potential this team has, this 2024 team has. But when you think about the pieces you could potentially be bringing back in 2025, like there's a lot to be excited about, and having a fourth year quarterback in Cade, and especially if you retain Garrett, if you have a big year and Garrett Riley comes back for one more year, another year too, like that team could be really, really damn good.
Could be really good. Could be really good. And
you could be bringing back.
You're not scheduled to lose a whole bunch off of this team. You know, now that's saying a lot. That's saying that you can retain everybody and keep everybody away from the transfer portal and divvy up the NIL to make everybody happy and all that stuff. A lot of stuff goes into that. But as far as like the Clemson can return pretty much this whole team outside of a few pieces,
especially on offense. Yeah, I mean, you'll lose. You'll probably. I think. I mean, Walker Parks. I think he technically could come back in 2025 if he wanted to.
Yeah, he'll be gone.
He's planning. I'm pretty sure he's planning on this being his last ride.
Barrett Carter would be gone.
Yeah, Barrett Carter. I think. Yeah, he's pretty safely gone. I think you could. I mean, you could get Wade Woodaz back.
You could get a Wade Woodaz back. I think you could get him back.
Of course, you have the young linebackers. I don't think any of them are going anywhere. Sandy Browns, Jamal Andersons, D. Craytons, Kobe McLeods. So I mean, and then basically you're all
nobody else is even eligible unless they transfer.
Yeah, I mean, Jaden Lucas, like if he has a strong year, like I talked about it, but I think he could. He's a guy that has, you know, right now it would be trending towards coming back. Then the rest of your cornerback room basically is not eligible. Most of your safeties aren't eligible. Like
you lose some of those older safeties, but again, all those young guys.
Mickens would be gone. Yeah, absolutely, and Mickens and Venables would be gone.
Yeah,
but you know, you would be bringing a ton back. Because we're talking out. You know, the guys that we're talking about as being depth pieces right now, you know, will have had experience by that time. And played for sure. So yeah, I mean that 2025 team, you know, looks and obviously the defensive line, we feel really good about that group. So yeah, 2025 could be a really special year if you can get Cade back.
Yeah.
You know, get the younger pieces on the offensive line, you know, to get them reps this year. Because like I said, I think you lose Walker Parks, Blake Miller, and is getting a lot of first round hype.
It's a possibility, yeah.
So I'm going to pencil. I'm going to say I'm going to likely write him as gone.
If he has if Blake Miller has a really good season this year, he's probably gone.
Yeah, I think if you get Tristan Lay and if you can get Tristan Lay back another year, I think you, which I think you will. Then you have a multi-year starter at left tackle. Of course, you still have Harris Sewell and all the young, and Colin Sadler and all the younger guys, Ian Reed.
You'd be pretty much replacing the right side of your offensive line.
Yeah,
which wouldn't be bad because you know you talk about a guy like Harris Sewell, he can step right into that right guard position. You know.
Yep.
So.
And you know, and Sadler can slide in at left because if you lose Marcus Tate, like I mean, Sadler slides in.
Yep.
At left guard, Tristan Lay. So. I mean, yeah.
And then you got those new guys you brought in this year. I mean, you know, so we'll see. It'll be interesting. Another super chat, $5 super chat from Chase Thompson. Thank you so much, buddy, for stopping in and supporting the show here. Really do appreciate your support. Do you think CV hits the portal after this season? Keeping right along with the quarterback conversation.
I don't like speculating on guys hitting the portal, and I mean, where things stand right now. I mean, CV is the backup quarterback. He's the next in line. You know, I don't know, he loves Clemson, so like I don't, but you know, I can't say that he wouldn't if Cade were to come back another year and he's sitting up, like, is he willing to do that? And I don't know, but I don't think he knew the situation at quarterback when he committed. Like he knew he was coming in the year after Cade, so that if Cade was going to be a multi-year starter, more than likely, like that, I'm sure that was a possibility that was he and his family considered. So
right,
you know, I tend to think no, but I don't like speculating on that.
It's hard to say, man, because you don't know these conversations that these guys are having with, their families or, whoever's in their ear. And, you have no idea how they feel about their personal situation and where they think they are. Are they, are they searching for more playing time? Are they willing to kind of wait their turn and wait it out and be that backup? And who knows? You never know what these guys are thinking. It's easy to say like, oh yeah, for sure, he's not going to sit another year, but maybe he would.
I mean, and it's not crazy. I mean, you have a guy like you have a guy like Arch Manning at Texas who's now after this year he's going to have sat for 2 years before he becomes the starter at Texas. Like, right. And he's like the highest rated quarterback of all time. So like, it's not all about, okay, I need to play. I'm okay with sitting 1 year, but if I have to sit another, I can't. I'm not doing it. Like right. I don't think that's necessarily the case. But some guys are willing to wait. You have a guy like Carson Beck who was at Georgia. He's been at Georgia since what, 2020? Yeah. He sat behind. JT Daniels, then Stetson Bennett. Does anybody remember DeJuan Mathis starting against Georgia in that 2020 season? Like, he was behind a lot of guys, and he's waited his turn, and he didn't become the full-time starter until his 4th season. So some guys are okay with waiting. Carson Beck was okay with waiting, and I think CV could be a guy that's okay with waiting his turn. And Carson Beck is a more analogous situation than Arch Manning, because Carson Beck was also a borderline 5-star type kid, but he came in and wasn't necessarily ready to go right away. Had some developing to do. He sat behind some more experienced quarterbacks at least, and waited his turn, and then became a full-time starter as a senior. Like, right. Maybe that is what CV is okay with doing. So, I don't know. It's a good question, Chase. Like, I'm not upset you asked it, but I don't like speculating on that.
These are conversations that, I'm sure he's having with the coaching staff, and he knows where he stands, and he knows the plan going forward. And, these are conversations that I'm sure they have, every time at the end of every season, right, when people are making these decisions. So we'll see.
All right. Let's see. Where was I? Because those were the super chats. I forgot who I. Oh, Ronald asked a question. Do you guys think there's pressure on Cade to perform at a much higher level this year? Young Pablo at Cisco doesn't think so. I mean, there's definitely pressure for him to perform better. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. Like, it comes with the territory of being the starting quarterback at Clemson. Like, there was going to be, even if he had a big year last year, there's still going to be pressure on him to, build on that this year. So when you're a starting quarterback at a program like Clemson, like you're expected to get to be better than what you were the year before, whether it was good or bad. So
I think
there's pressure, and it's a big year
for me. The thing is, it's like he's already felt all the pressure.
Yeah,
I mean, look at the roller coaster ride has been, Cade Klubnik, and how he became the starter, and how his first season of starting went. His first season wasn't great, man. Like, 4-4, backs against the wall. They finish. I think he's felt the pressure. So my worry heading into this season is not the pressure. My worry is that he blocks all that stuff out. Who cares, man? Who cares what we think as fans? That's what he should think. Obviously we always have our opinions, and we're always going to, voice what we think is best for the program, and we're passionate about it, and, all of that stuff. But, if I'm Cade, man, who cares? Like, block that noise. Like, who cares what the reporters are saying? Who cares what ESPN's saying? Who cares what the fans are saying? Like, lock in on, what you got to do. And that's what he needs to focus on. And I heard him talk about it this offseason, about him quieting his mind and trying to find ways to do that this offseason. And that's what he needs to focus on. He don't need to focus on the pressure. Obviously, there's pressure. You're a quarterback at a major college football program. Yeah, there's pressure. You got all the healthy wide receivers. Your offensive line looks to be, somewhat improved this season. So yeah, everybody's going to be looking to Cade to make the next step. And I mean, I think he knows that as best as anybody, but he can't allow that to, dictate how he goes out on that field and operates, so.